Hey, it's John Nemo, and I want to jump back in the time machine. So, back to 1849 in New York City. There is a famous, well, soon to be famous swindler named William Thompson. And what this guy would do is he would approach wealthy strangers on the street in New York City, and he would talk to them as if he already knew them. He'd act like they were old friends or whatever it might be, and he would say to this stranger, "Hey, do you have the confidence to lend me your watch until tomorrow? Can I borrow your watch until tomorrow? You're confident I'll give it back, right?" And he would act so confident toward them, and he spoke with such kind of casual certainty, as if this was just a normal everyday request. These wealthy strangers would hand over their expensive watches. And of course, this guy, Thompson, would disappear and never return. Right. So he was just stealing watches in plain, broad daylight from wealthy people on the streets of New York. And a journalist who was covering this at the time, when they finally caught this guy, Thompson, and arrested him, wrote a headline and he called him the confidence man. And that term later got shortened to con man. Right. So all of us know now what a con man is, but I just love that story and kind of where that came from, because I see this happening all the time on LinkedIn and with sales and with lead generation. And it's really understanding the powerful lessons about this. Understanding sales is really about using confidence as like a tool for influence. In other words, confidence really creates credibility, even without competence. So let me say that line again, because that's really important. Confidence will create credibility, even without competence. And that's where a lot of us get taken, right? Because someone acts so confident. They act like, and we've all had this experience. Someone acts as if they know us and we should know them, and it's awkward. And we're like, okay, yeah, sure, you can borrow my watch. I must know you from somewhere. Yeah, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll meet you here, give it back. And obviously, this guy figured that out very early. And I mean, we've all been burned that way, right? And I want to just share a couple key insights, because I think this really plays into how you want to approach lead generation, how to understand the sales process, both for yourself, if you're selling your products or services, and also if you are, the prospect, looking to buy products or services, is really understanding this piece of the equation that really, it can't really be taught. There's not like a sales script or talk track or whatever you want to say to do this, but understanding that people really trust clarity more than they trust credentials, right? Most people aren't going to follow the smartest person in the room with the PhD. They're going to follow the person who sounds the most sure. They're going to follow the person who sounds like they're the most confident. And one of the things that I've learned is certainty is contagious, right? Confidence really reduces resistance for people. If you act certain, if you act confident, then people will follow. They want to have that transferal from you to them of, well, are you really confident this is going to work? Right? Because people, and it happened again today where I was talking to a prospect on a call, and I could really tell the person, because they had made bad choices in the past about trying to find the right LinkedIn lead generation partner, since obviously what we do is we, are a done for you LinkedIn lead gen agency. It really wasn't about the price of our service. It really wasn't about the structure of the contract or anything. It was really about confidence. And so I kind of just, what I've learned in sales is you've got to find a way to obviously protect the other person's ego, and not, beat them up or say, oh, you should just be more confident. I was basically able to ask enough questions and peel enough layers back to where I said to the person, and I used a Chris Voss technique from, Never Split the Difference, as the famous book that he wrote, but of kind of labeling and mirroring. And it said, it sounds like there's a lot of fear here. And then you just pause, right? And the guy said, well, yeah, I've made so many mistakes. I'm really not confident in myself to, make the right choice. It's like, oh, okay. So this isn't a me issue, right? This isn't how I presented my service. This isn't my pricing. This isn't my, structure of whatever it is. It's about simple human emotion. So I had to find a way on that call to imbue that person with confidence. And so and again, it has to be authentic and legitimate. And I had been talking to the person for 45 minutes, and I was able to say, listen, like, I've talked to you long enough now. And the way that I structure sales calls too is I start by saying, like, hey, this is not a sales call, which it isn't. It's really a selection call, just because our agency, this is true. Like, we don't take on a lot of clients at the done for you level, the done with you level. So I can have confidence in a call starting the call that way and changing the frame and going, listen, like really, and I don't say it this directly, but like you got to qualify to work with us. Like we won't work with just anyone. We're confident enough in our process and our track record and our results. We want to pick winning clients, because I've learned this too as an agency owner, and all the coaches and consultants and small business owners are nodding their head right now. You win or lose based on client selection. You win or lose based on if you pick good clients, especially for us as a done for you LinkedIn lead gen agency, because we're not doing sales. We will get you the leads on LinkedIn, but you have to close the leads. You have to close the sales. So I've had all these examples, and recently I had a client. It just drove me crazy because this was one of the best campaigns we've ever had. We got this person 80, hyper qualified, pitch perfect leads by our client's own admission, over 80 leads that were like the ideal. Yes, even the client was like, these are the perfect leads. And one sale to this type of client, these 80 clients, one sale is 5 to 6 figures. So it's like gold mine, right? This client, unfortunately, has only closed 1 out of the 80. It's like, oh man, it's so hard, because then the client said, well, I'm probably not going to continue, and and the revenue and the ROI isn't there. And it's like, dude, like and it's not being mad at the client. It's just the facts are the facts. But it's like, well, we certainly lived up to our end of the bargain. We got you 8 blue chip 5 to 6 figure leads that we pre-qualified, pre-sold, warmed up, and put on a call with you. And again, at the end of the day, if you can't close the leads, then there's nothing we can do as the lead source, right? So again, but it's about confidence, and it's about understanding how big of a role it plays, and really understanding, again, that if you can have clarity, people are going to trust that more than credentials. And the great irony in this is, speaking of credentials, they've done a lot of studies, and often the people who are the most talented, the most qualified, the most accomplished have the least amount of confidence. It's the people that don't have the credentials, don't have the experience, don't have the academic backing, whatever it is, that just have this brash confidence and certainty, that do better, right? We've all seen this. We've seen this in the corporate workplace with people that move up the ladder. Well, why is that guy getting promoted? I'm more qualified than him. That's ridiculous. Because they're confident, because they're certain, right? Because they can present in a way. And again, whether you like it or not, whether it's fair or not, doesn't matter. It's how the world works. Human beings, we mirror emotional states. So if you act like you're certain, people will stop questioning you. If you act like what you're saying is totally normal and a common thing to bring up, people will stop questioning it. It will become a default. You see this all the time in business. You certainly see it in the United States here in politics, and I'm not going to get into that in an episode, but you see it in how people act, right? You see it on social media. You see it with influencers. You see it with people that have a lot of big audiences. If you can say stuff with enough certainty and with enough confidence, people believe it, or at least they stop questioning it. Because again, we tend to mirror emotional state. Because if you come into a sales call and you're anxious or uncertain, others are going to feel that. They're going to feel uneasy. Confidence creates this sense of safety. Now, how do you have confidence in your product or service? Well, hopefully, when you're going into a sales call, for me, it's easy because I can look back at over a decade of success and say, we have, 50 plus testimonials on our website that I can read every single day to fire myself up and go, yeah, here's all these different consultants, coaches, small business owners across all these different B2B verticals that have done 5, 6, even 7 figures in revenue from our leads, from Nemo Media Group, from the quality that we've provided. So there's no shortage of success stories from our clients for me to come into a call and feel confident. And people will say, well, what did you do in the beginning, right? With your first done for you package, how were you confident? Well, I had the confidence of my own story, right? And how back in 2012, I quit a safe 6-figure day job. I had one client, enough money for 30 days, but I had a plan. I was going to use LinkedIn. I saw an opportunity back in 2012, and I was able to generate, $135,000 in sales in 90 days on LinkedIn with just me and my laptop in the corner of our bedroom, right? So I had confidence in my ability to help this person get leads on LinkedIn. I also had confidence in my mindset, which was, listen, if you become my client, I'm not going to let you fail. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get you leads, to get you wins. And I've built a culture, I should say we, because we have a team of over 20 inside Nemo Media Group, where people have picked up on that culture. And we've had literally, team members go and sell services to their neighbors from our clients. Like, I have one amazing team member who has sold multiple people in her cul-de-sac whatever her clients are currently working on, simply because her neighbors will be sitting with her at a backyard barbecue. Hey, what's new with work? Oh, I'm working with this really cool coach. They help people with leadership development. Oh, really? I've been looking for somebody to talk to our company. Do you think it'd be good? Yeah, let me hook you up. I'll have our client talk to you. And then they end up buying, right? So like, that's the type of people we've brought into Nemo Media Group, where we can have confidence because we're going to do whatever we can do to help you get wins and be successful. So bring that in. And remember, confidence, you got to have it backed by integrity, right? And I love these lines that I found about confidence. Confidence without character is really just manipulation. Let me say that one more time. Confidence without character is just manipulation. Confidence with character is leadership. Okay. Confidence with real character behind it is leadership. You're helping people. So that's why, you want to come in feeling confident, feeling certain, feeling comfortable, finding those touchstones, whether it's your own story, whether it's your own mindset, figuring that out. Because what I have found with sales, with lead generation, the biggest thing is confidence is contagious. Certainty is contagious, much more so than certifications, recommendations, referrals, social proof. End of the day, when you're talking to another person, there's that psychological vibe of, are you really confident this is going to work? Right? Because again, the other person's going to come in with all their own confidence issues. I've already tried a LinkedIn agency, or I haven't had success, or I don't know if I can do it. In fact, we work with so many clients now that I'll talk to them and say, like, listen, like, you got to be able to close the leads. And I'll have people let their guard down and go, I stink at sales. And I'll be like, okay, well, I'm glad we're not starting right now. And what we've actually done is develop sales training for our clients. Like, literally now, one of the things that we do with coaches, consultants, financial professionals is we help them with kind of creating a custom sales framework. So based on your situation, your story, your background, your product, your service, everything we know about working with, hundreds of other coaches, consultants, accountants, bookkeepers, whatever it is, we kind of know the market, we know the rates, we know based on your story and your journey where you kind of fit in on the high to low end. Almost every single prospect I talk to is criminally underpriced, because a lot of business owners, consultants, coaches, accountants, bookkeepers, whatever, they don't know how to price themselves. They're just kind of, I don't know, like, I guess I'm throwing this out there. Is that good? Is that bad? And so we actually have built that into our client engagement, where we help you with custom pricing and how to price your services. And we've got great stories. Like, there's a great story on our website, and I can link to it in the show notes, but of a consultant who had a leadership training company who actually raised his rates 300%, 300, and got it, right? And what we did was, when I met him and I was like, wait, you work with this type of clientele, you have all these academic degrees, you have all these certifications, you've done this much work in this many hours for this many decades, and you're charging that for a half-day workshop. I'm like, you could easily charge, way more. And so we actually raised his, I think it was a daily workshop. We raised it from like $5,000 a day to $30,000 a day, and he got it, right? And it was no big deal. It was a 300% increase, whatever the actual amount was, because I also wrote a copy for him that he could give to prospects, current clients, future clients, saying, hey, we're changing the price of our workshop from $5,000 to $30,000. Here's why it's super exciting for you. It's going to allow us to do more of A, B, and C. We're going to be able to do fewer workshops, which means we can do more customized, tailored, personalized to your exact needs. We can spend more time, ahead of it with your company. So we reframed it in a way that the person goes, well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If you're raising the rate, I get all these other benefits out of it. Sure, no problem. Like, end of the day. And he was thrilled. Obviously, we were thrilled. His clients were thrilled. And his name, I think it was Robert Hernandez. I'll find it. I have it on my website, but if you want to, if I don't put it in the show notes, just ask me, John at NemoMediaGroup.com. I can send you that, because there's a lot of good insights in there. But that's the whole thing of confidence too. Was also, and Robert talked about that in the interview I did with him. It's a video interview where he's like, you guys gave me the confidence to ask for those prices, because you showed me like, hey, you've done all these things, you've been accomplished. Like, you can have confidence and clarity and certainty that, listen, my training is worth 30 grand. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the big thing and the big lesson of this episode is you've got to find ways to build confidence and build certainty. And when you do that, it's contagious. So there you go. If you want more resources on that, more free trainings, tips, go to nemomediagroup.com. Tons of free resources there. You can also learn more about our Done For You services. Would love to hear from you. But thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you soon on another episode.